Hi, I'm Gabby. Just turned 31 this May. This birthday was important to me because I needed a break from all the crap I've been living through. I still live with my mom in Michigan. We were the four of us before things went downhill. After getting married, I moved into my place. We had a nice room upstairs while mom and dad took the room below. Things were okay in a way. I met Tim at a friend's birthday party. He was this cool, funny guy who loves to make lame jokes and laugh at it. He was like the light of the room. I, on the other, was the shy girl who would never make proper advances. My friend Joyce worked at the same place as me. We work at an established clothing shop as saleswomen, and that's where I noticed how we were like two opposite energies that were balanced. Joyce was kind of like Tim, hyper-energetic, loves meeting new people and all that. When she called me to this party, I was kind of unsure if I could blend with the rest of them, but it had been a long time since I went out to a party. When I reached there, people were already acquainted with each other and the air felt drunk. I didn't like drinking much because I feel like I always lose control. I was a 27-year-old adult, confused, trying to blend in, being so lame and boring. Not knowing anyone, I sat on the lonely sofa that was at the corner of the room. Joyce spotted me from around the corner and squealed as she approached me. "Hey, girl, what's up? You are late." "Oh, so sorry. I didn't know what to wear, and I made a mess out of my room, so had to fix things up." "Fine, fine. Well, this has been your first ever party, and you are not leaving this place without experiencing what it's like to get drunk." No, I would get lost in myself. I'm not very tolerant of these things." "Ah, come on. We'll go bike riding by the water if you feel too overwhelmed. I'm throwing this party because of you. I want you to get along. You have lived here with your parents your whole life, and I've seen how submissively you deal with rude customers. You need a definite upgrade. I will give you formal training on how to boss up." "What party for me? You must be crazy. Do you look at me? I am dying inside. How can I possibly get an upgrade?" "Bruh, Gabs, you are naive. I never had a proper friend. I always make acquaintances. New faces every day, but that sometimes gets lonely. When you first joined the job, I thought you were nerdy and it kind of made me smile. Not gonna lie. I think the day when I saw you deal with those rude-ass people, I realized that this girl needs definite help. And yeah, maybe I'm not the most trusty sword, but you can still wield me when you're in danger." "Haha, thanks. This was considerate of you. I think I will be able to manage, but it's getting really hot here. I'll go out and get some fresh air." "Absolutely, but not before you get a couple of drinks, hee hee." The night was buzzing for me, and I never thought I would be making social interactions with people, but I guess when you're under the influence of alcohol, your personality is deemed to change. I stumbled across the room through people trying to seek the exit. It was beautiful, breezy summer weather. I took a ditzy stroll around the house. The backyard seemed empty and there was a swing. I thought the booze was getting up in my head and getting me a bit nauseous, so I went and dropped myself on the swing. I was staring at space, thinking about my parents. My mom was a shy introvert, unlike my dad. I think I got this personality type from her. She's very soft-spoken, keeps to herself, and loves the company of solemnity. My dad was loud and talking, always preferring company other than my mom. He loves going out for solo trips, sometimes coming back 2 to 3 weeks later. He would bring small souvenirs, but that never made sense to my mom. My mom preferred small accessories like hair clips and bracelets. My father got her stationaries. I was like, why? He was very casual about everything and felt like not everything in life should have an emotional value. Sometimes I wonder how they got together with such contrasting personalities. I felt drowsy and I could feel my eyes getting heavy. drifting into unconsciousness when a sudden sprinkle of water on my face got me up. I jolted upright, turning to face a guy who was twice as drunk as I am. He was tall, well-built, and had dark brown hair. I was a bit wary of him, so I moved away. He was smiling and giggling, but didn't make any wrong moves. Rather, he sat on the wooden stool, tilting his head to one side as he gazed at me. "You are—" "I'm a duck." "Oh, right, sure." I felt like he was going to fool around because he's under the influence of God knows how many shots. I turned away to go when he suddenly uttered my name. "What? Wait, how do you know me?" "You are Joyce's new protege, huh? Kind of cute." Excuse me? I don't exactly know you." "Of course you don't know me. I'm Timmy, but you can call me Tim. Shorter and simple." "Great meeting you. Well, you already know me, so I don't need the point why I should say anything further. But I can assure you I am not Joyce's protege. I'm her friend." Tim closed his eyes and giggled. I was feeling quite uncomfortable in his presence. I wanted to leave. The only thing I needed right then was the comfort of my bed. It was getting late, and I was extremely tired after all the interactions I had. I scurried inside the house and looked for Joyce. She was there lounging on the sofa talking to some guy. I went up to her and whispered in her ears. She nodded to the guy and excused herself. "You met Tim? Oh, that skimpy brat." "Is he a nice person?" "Well, he is very misunderstood amongst people, but I can assure you he doesn't have antisocial behavior." "Well, okay, I'd better go. I need sleep, and we have work tomorrow, remember?" Yeah, I'll be on time if that's what you're worried about. Do you want me to book a cab or ride my bicycle?" "No, you're too drunk for this, and I was planning to walk, so it's all right. I'll take the shorter route." After bidding our farewell, I tipsily made my way to the right-hand side of the street and went along the narrow pavement. It was around 8:30 p.m. and the streets were getting quieter. I mean, it would have been a waste of money if I took a cab, especially when my place was just a few blocks away. But I was wearing a short dress and the streets were getting quieter. I couldn't help but get a tad bit nervous. My hands were getting cold. My breathing became sharp. I fastened my pace a bit. Suddenly, I could feel a grip on my arm, and out of fright, I screamed and flung the bag right in the direction of the alarming presence. A loud thud and a man's pained voice echoed through the silent air. I turned around to see. It was Tim. "Damn, woman, you can pack a punch. The nifty handbag you have got right there. What do you carry?" Why are you following me? What's with you?" "I wanted to escort you, that's all. It was late, and when I saw you go out, I was kind of worried, so I had to follow you. I didn't know how to call you from the back, so Well, you could have just called me from the back instead of coming and grabbing me." "Well, clouded judgments. I'm so sorry. I should not have scared you like that. At least it would have spared me the nice hit." "I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay." "I am." I'm quite a strong man, but not gonna lie, that blow was something else. He smiled like a kid as he drooped his head tiredly, scruffing his messy hair. He looked like he was going to collapse, and he was reeking of alcohol. I let him follow me quietly behind me. I kept glancing back to see what he was up to. He had his hands in his pockets, glancing back at me. I felt so flustered. I had a few friends back when I was in Ohio, but once I shifted to Michigan, things changed. I quietened down a bit more. It's been a long time since I spoke to a guy. He didn't seem too threatening. He was rather really sweet. Fast forward to when we started dating. It just happened weirdly, but I noticed that I saw a lot of my father's personality in him. He was casual, not too serious about things. He was like a burst of energy. Took me to parties and small cafes, even rock concerts. My introverted mind was going all crazy with these interactions, but I enjoyed that side of him. I mean, he helped me balance. He would come to visit my parents and sometimes take me to his place. We were growing intimate, and I weirdly felt good around him. I mean, he was not an ideal guy. Like, his house is a mess, smells a lot. He eats nothing but store-bought food, but he was also kind, cheery, and sometimes a little childlike. He took care of me and my parents. My mom was not fond of him much, but my dad was. Maybe he could see a lot of himself in him. He would come often for dinner, stay the night, and enjoy drinks with my dad. Joyce was highly surprised by all of this. We met in a cafe for a small chit-chat when she brought him up. Girl, you need to explain how it all happened. Tim? Really? That guy won the lottery. Well, it is a long story. If I start saying anything now, it would probably take like a few more coffees and more snacks. In short, he is a sweet guy. Who could have thought? A shy girl with a hipster man? Just like those tropes from the novels? But as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Plus, we get to go on group dates. You're seeing someone? I mean, kinda. I'm trying not to rush it too much. Taking things nice and slow is the key to avoiding misunderstandings. We chatted for hours and hours. I felt like things were going to be all right, and maybe I will be able to manage having a decent life. After a few months, Tim Jericho, Joyce's partner, Joyce and I went for a small trip to Hawaii. It was Jericho's funding. His father was in the tourism company for many years, and this trip was a blessing to all of us. There, Tim played a stunt by pulling out the marriage thingy on me. It was a pleasant shock. I never thought he would go all the way with the planning. You sure? Do you want this? I mean, isn't it going fast? I feel like sweet things shouldn't wait too long. Shouldn't we think this through? If we take so much time, someone might swoon you away from me. I did take my time to respond. I wanted to be sure that this was it, and I'm about to take life's biggest decision ever. But I remember my mom being extremely silent about all this. She just did her part of the duties, but she never really approved or disapproved anything. As I stood there, my heart racing with anticipation, I couldn't help but feel a surge of joy and gratitude. Today was the day I would marry the love of my life, Tim. The sun was shining brightly, casting a golden glow over the picturesque venue that we had chosen for our special day. As I walked down the aisle, my eyes met Tim's, and the world around us seemed to fade away. The soft strains of our chosen melody filled the air, creating a soundtrack to our love story. The reception was a joyful affair filled with laughter, heartfelt toasts, and dances that would be etched in our memories forever. The room was adorned with flowers, twinkling lights, and little touches that reflected our personalities. It was a true reflection of our love and the journey that brought us to this very moment. Oh, how horribly cringe I'm feeling describing that event, but my naive self would have truly written that as a romance writer. Finally, a useful wit for my daughter. Ha ha. This brave young man did the best of all things, i.e., being my son-in-law. Cheers! Now, Tim, my boy, I can finally gala around with a man. Please do keep my daughter safe. She is very important to me. Oh, I will, mother dearest. You need not worry so much. Throughout the evening, I couldn't help but steal glances at Tim, my life partner. We laughed, we danced, and we savored every moment together. It was a celebration of our love and the beautiful future that awaited us. Oh, how I wish this was the truth. Poor Gabby, you were profoundly stupid. As I reflect on the early days of our marriage, there's a memory that still brings a mix of frustration and fury to my heart. It was a time when Tim and his father-in-law, my dad, seem to have fallen into a pattern of relying on others for support. That was me and my mom. My mom is working as a librarian in a local school, and am still working in the clothing shop. My father was a cab driver, and Tim joined the construction site. Both of them got low pay, and sometimes they both would hang out in the bars and drink all night. Come home really late in the morning. Tim's boss already raised a lot of complaints against him. They say he keeps lagging in his work and sometimes even smokes weed at the corner. He was given warnings, but he couldn't care less. Babe, we need to talk. You're getting written and verbal complaints from your workplace. Are you not enjoying the job? Like, I thought you care about us. I am, but sometimes I get lazy. It's a boring job. Plus, I'm not having time for myself. I want to enjoy life a bit more. That's not how things work, Tim. We are married. We can always find time for ourselves, but we must think of our future. I am thinking about our future, love. I just feel like these kinds of jobs are not cut for me. I'm more like a business person. Of course, you can start a business. I'm not stopping you. Have you thought about any sort of investment plans? What is the business and how will you go on with it? It's not easy to run a business, you know. I and Patrick have thought about it together, but before I can say anything about that, I forgot to tell you something. I was planning to go on a short trip with my boys. Trip? Didn't you go on a trip a month before, babe? Where are you getting the income to spend on these trips? Oh, no, it's not mine. A friend of mine arranged it. I'm just hoping. I will come back and think of everything seriously. All right? So just relax. You are tense all the time. This isn't right, getting dependent on other people for such things. How will you pay the favor back? And this is the third time you went on another person's funded trip. Yeah, I get it. I'll do whatever I can. I've asked for a little money from your mom. She was sweet to provide. I will repay it. How could you? Why would you do that? I was here. You could have asked me. My mom is working hard. Please don't take anything from her. I think she has dealt with that enough with my dad. Having a husband like that is a definite nightmare. Tim never showed this part of his character before. I mean, he always had very casual, loud, and flaunty behavior. I knew deep down I got myself in trouble just like how my mom got when she fell in love with Dad. As I reflect on the dynamics within the family, there's a persistent frustration that lingers within me. It's a feeling that arises whenever I witness my own father's consistent freeloading behavior, taking advantage of my mom and me. Growing up, my father had always been unreliable when it came to financial responsibilities. He would often neglect his duties, leaving my mom to shoulder the burden of providing for our family. I watched as she worked tirelessly, juggling multiple jobs to make ends meet, while my father seemed content to float through life without any sense of responsibility. I kind of figured out how he would be as a person, but I saw you being so happy, and you know how I am not good at expressing myself. Tim has won the heart of your dad, and he has a general way with words which can get hard to resist. Mom, sorry. You're going through a lot, and I added up to it more. No, sweetie, it's all right. We can work things out. I just wish your father could start acting like one, because he and Tim are bonding over the wrong interests. I will pay you back all the money Tim owes, because I have a feeling he doesn't save up enough to do so. Days pass by, and Tim has left for his trip. My dad, on the other hand, told me that he was going to my uncle's place for a few days. He said he would be back. He just needs to borrow some money. I was working overtime because Joyce went on a trip to Spain. She deserved it, so I had to take her part in the work as well. I didn't mind. I wanted to feel distracted, so this was good for me. After work, while I was returning home, my phone buzzed multiple times. I opened it to see that it was Joyce. She sent some pictures. I was in complete and utter shock when I saw Tim in those pictures in Spain. Another girl in his arms and his friends were there too. Joyce left. "I told you so," beneath the photo. I was beyond furious. I was humiliated. I have married a nuisance, a good-for-nothing. He said he would think about this seriously, and I believed that. I went home and punched so hard on the cardboard that it left a small dent. That miserable guy, horrible character is my husband. And he cheats on me too. He cheats on me. I'll call him. He is answerable to me. 2 days later, when I was recovering from the shock, some men came to our doorstep. They looked like gangsters. I don't know. They just looked intimidating, but they weren't here to harm us. I was too scared to interact at first, but I knew I had a mother to protect. I opened the door and they started asking for money from me. I was stoked by their response. They were hell-bent on the fact that they were scammed by Tim. When Tim was on the trips with his friends, he sold off some weed to the locals, claiming it was good stuff and it costs a lot. Later on, they found out it was the cheapest weed. When they confronted Tim about that, he said it was my idea and that the money would be with me. Tim still owed money worth $10,000 to them. What has he been doing behind my back? I was not taking that. I told them Tim would be paying for all of it, and that they can keep all the other belongings owned by Tim. His house crashed, and later found out that he was running a small drug dealer business. I filed a report to the police claiming that Tim was a problematic person and he had been doing shady businesses, dealing with the underworld people and all. I was like a decoy to him. He thought he would get married and move in with me and he would not be suspected. I called his number that day. I used a different cell number because I knew he wouldn't be picking up otherwise. The voice that picked on the other side was not Tim. It was my father, Patrick. "Hello? Hello? Who is this? Who is this?" "I'm Gabby's friend. She was telling me she couldn't reach Tim on the line, so I just gave a call on her behalf to see if everything's okay." "Oh, everything's fine, dear. Don't worry about it. I'll tell him to call Gabby back." I could hear Tim's voice from the back telling my dad to cut the call and join him. I recorded everything. I have his pictures and recordings now, enough to get him sued. What better reason can I have for a divorce? It took me so long to find out what Tim was actually up to. He never really loved me. It was easy to manipulate me because I'm dumb. "I told you everything, Mom." She was heartbroken, but not too shocked. She told me it was time she and I left the house and settled elsewhere. She had an old flat for rental somewhere in the west of Michigan. She said she can't afford to buy it now, but at least we can be relieved from this mess. The police reported as saying that he would be imprisoned once he comes back. And boy, what a pleasant surprise they probably had when they returned to an empty house with 2 unpaid bills and 2 divorce papers on the table.